to another episode of First Shorts, where we sit with creatives in the entertainment industry and talk about their experience making their first short film. And our guest today is Valerie Complex. As a Black queer woman and military veteran who grew up in the Bronx, Valerie Complex's life experience helped shape her writing and creativity. As a former associate editor, podcaster, and film critic at Deadline, what she's learned about movies through film journalism has been invaluable on her filmmaking journey and propelled her to transition into becoming a professional screenwriter. As a lover of Japanese animation, comics, and all things film, Valerie is passionate about equality and equity across all entertainment mediums. Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for
That
joining
is
us.
quite the bio. I was, you write shit and you just like, okay, well, I hope this works or whatever, but you hear it and you're like, well, damn, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I actually had a question about your bio. You said that you're a lover of Japanese animation. So here, I don't know if you can see in the background, I've got
Same
Chopper from One
question.
Piece right over here. I got
Yeah,
Chopper from
okay, I
One
can see
Piece, and then I've got like Toad from Mario. But yeah, so for all of our creatives out there who may be tuning in, is there any anime that you're watching now that you're inspired by or that you absolutely love and recommend? I know, hot question.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I stopped watching anything new in 2020
Mm.
because I think I had just given up. And I started internalizing my mom's words. Like when I first started watching anime, she was like, it's from the devil and it's demonic and whatever. And I think I got to 2020, I was like, maybe I agree with her because what is going on with the shit I'm watching? So like, I haven't watched anything new, but I have a ton of favorites. Like I'm really excited about the new Ghost in the Shell that's coming out. That's like
I saw
closer
that
to the
trailer. Yeah.
manga.
Hmm.
And I'm really, really excited about that. Big, huge, like Ghost in the Shell fan. I've seen all iterations of it. But I like a lot of old school stuff like Fist of the North Star, Rouge and Z, Millennium Actress, Perfect Blue. In terms of shows and stuff, I really like the Ghost in the Shell series, season 1 and 2. I liked Attack on Titan and FNA Brotherhood and all that stuff. But I've never seen really My Hero Academia or Jujutsu Kaisen, stuff that like my niece and nephew watch. But look, when I was watching anime, people used to like throw stuff at me and like beat us up. And now it's mainstream and cool. And I'm kind of bitter about
Yeah.
that. I'm kind of upset about that.
I'm still
I always
upset.
said,
It was hard being a
yeah,
black nerd.
I always say we walk so they can run because.
Exactly. I was watching like I was late to school watching Sailor Moon every morning.
Toonami.
Hmm.
Right. And watching Toonami and watching sci-fi on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's a great like segue in there. Words of Your Mom is like what we're watching is kind of demonic, kind of fits to what we're gonna watch. So with that being said, what drew you to this project?
Well played, sir. Well played.
Like, I really like how the intersectionality of that was so smooth. Like, thank you. I was really inspired. I used to watch a lot of like, I always say like the Japanese and the Spanish have the horror game kind of locked up. And I think I drew a lot of inspiration from the Japanese without realizing it until after I watched it. And I was showing the rough cut to someone and they were like, is this the ring? And I was like, no, it's something I shot. And then I was like, oh yeah, I am heavily inspired by like Japanese ghost stories and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. My teacher was like, you need to write something that was about you. And I used to have sleep paralysis. And I used to see like weird shit when I used to be locked down to the bed. And I was like, let me write about the experience. And that's kind of how it manifested. I didn't think it was going to turn out in like this sort of Japanese sort of dark style, but that's what happened.
So right away, as someone who used to suffer sleep paralysis, I think maybe like a minute and a half when he's like, I was like, this is about sleep paralysis. Just as someone who's experienced sleep paralysis, I was like, it's some of the like scariest shit. And I used to not like, I didn't see anything like some of the stuff you had visually going on in your short, but I always felt like there was a presence there. I just couldn't see it. It was just, it's awful because you literally can't do anything.
You're up and like trying to like there have been times where I've tried to scream, where I've tried to move, and I know I'm up. It's just that my body is just not registering that I'm up. And it's scary.
Hmm.
And you don't really wake up from it, which is why the ending is the way it is. Because you don't really wake up from it. It kind of like you kind of go back to sleep and it kind of continues until you really wake up the next day. At least that's how it was for me. And so,
Interesting.
yeah, I never like popped up from sleep paralysis. Like I would be forced to go back to sleep and then wake up regularly. Some people are able to like go through it and then finally get up. I was never able to do that.
I like how you like took something, you know, the old saying, right from what you know, but it hits and it, you know, it's sleep paralysis. Pretty, I mean, for people who probably have sleep paralysis, it won't take them long to be like, okay, I know what this is about.
Hmm.
So that really came
Thank
through.
you.
And were you in school when you like? Did you go back to school to do
I,
this? Did you do this with friends?
so I'm gonna give you like the short spiel, but basically, I am a 43-year-old graduate student. I had learned a lot of the business industry when I was at Deadline, but I was like, I don't know the logistics of what it takes to physically make a film. So I was like, what's the best way to do that? Did I have to go back to school? No, but I was in the military. The military would pay for it. And I wanted access to meet new people and network and have access to equipment, studio space. And so I decided school was probably the best thing to explore that right now. And so this is technically a student film. It was my first
Wow.
assignment, and the assignment was to direct a film with no dialogue, only diegetic sound and rap.
Okay. And do you remember how long it took?
From cradle to grave from October, and it was done and printed and pressed out by the end of January.
Okay.
So
It's like
4 months.
90 days, 4 months. Yeah. Okay. And like, so since it was a school project, that means it was like majority funded through school.
No, it was funded through me. It
Uh,
was funded through me. Yeah, I'm not at one of those film schools. I tried, and they said no, thank you. I'm at the Fierstein Graduate School of Cinema, which is connected to Brooklyn College. Like Steven Soderbergh is like the president of the board, Darren Aronofsky, and a couple of other people on the board. The equipment room is filled with all of Soderbergh's like older equipment because now he uses like iPhones and other things, but like his film equipment is in there. There's a lot of digital stuff, and a lot of that comes from his vault. So it's pretty much his school. Gus Van Sant, I think, used to teach a symposium there. Last year, I came in after he left, but so yeah, that's where I go now, and yeah, I learned a lot in a semester, like a
Okay,
lot.
so we're gonna cue this up soon, and as we do, how big, because it's short, I'll ask a lot of these questions now. How big was the crew? I love a good voyeuristic, dirty.
So yeah, about 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
And did you
So
do casting through the school for this, or?
actually, he is someone I worked with before because I had a class that was like we had to shoot film, scenes from other movies. So I shot a scene from Scream, and he was one of the actors that we used for that. And I was like, hey, why don't you come back for this? And so I talked to him, and he was down with it. And the woman who plays the ghost was an actress in a previous film I had worked on with another student. And that's how I was able to get anybody together. So I didn't have to put out auditions or anything like that. And I wanted to talk about the bathroom scene because the bathroom scene is funny because we were literally hanging from the ceiling and like hanging from the bathtub rod, like trying to get like certain camera angles because the bathroom was so small. So we put up like LED lights and stuff and used like the regular lights and then some color correction to make it look green and dreary. But we were hanging from things like it was tight in there. And the bedroom stuff was like we had a 3 light setup. I had like a cheap LED I had gotten from Amazon, and then we had 2 lights. One of them had a blue gel on it. The LED light in the corner was blue, and then color correction that was done, and that's how we were able to make it look so blue because we shot this during the day.
Okay, I was going to
So
ask
Yeah.
that. So it was the color choices were intentional for like the kind of grimy green and okay.
yes,
That's very
Yeah,
the
this freaks me
Japanese
out.
influence.
Hmm.
so
Always
you
like a
could see
good
it, right?
finger on the, yeah.
See, so you were able to tell like it was like Japanese influence. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about this before.
I'm a really big fan. Tale of Two Sisters, like Japanese, Korean, like horror cinema.
They do it well. And so the lighting and everything, I just wanted to draw from things that I remember seeing and experiencing, the feeling of being choked and
Like
things
something's
coming
on
out
your
of nowhere.
chest.
And like something, yeah, something on your chest, something heavy. And there's nothing that you're able to do about it. wait, he got a chance to sort of get up out of that. I never was able to do that. But so like the way, like we played it in different angles and different ways, but I wanted to keep certain parts of it more objective. And then the horror bits are like sort of up in your face. So I wanted it to feel very visceral in that way. This is the first time I'm watching it in a while, honestly, because when I finished editing it, I was like, I don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I know that feeling.
I love something
That was
coming out of the background.
Yeah, this is great. This was and I'm not a fan of horror, and I was like, this.
I know you watched this in the daytime.
I did. I did. With full lights on. Great makeup, by the way.
And yep, part of the crew. And like, different people were doing different things. The makeup artist was doing the sound, and like the gaffer was also doing other, like everybody was like doing multiple things. And I decided to like edit this as well because I like editing a lot and I want to do editing more if I can. And we used DaVinci Resolve, and I had Megan Gelin, who was another Black woman, come in and do the color correction. A lot of the people on my set were people of color, and the interesting thing is that the crew was young. Everybody was under 30, and here I am over 40. So that was a really interesting sort of dynamic in like learning to work together, different dynamics and different ideas and stuff like that. But I think seeing this again, it actually came out
Yeah.
better than I think I had anticipated. Because I really, honestly, when it was done in the can, I was like, what's next? I don't want to see that. It was so much to the point where I had talked to one of my homeboys this weekend, and I was like, did you even see the final cut of the movie? He was like, I did. He's like, did you send it to anyone else? I was like, I don't really think I did. And
Okay.
as I talked to different people, they were like, yeah, no, you never sent us that. I was like, wow, okay. So I decided to send it to friends, and then I started getting feedback, and I was encouraged to submit to a couple of film festivals, which I did. I sent it to a few. The worst they could say is no. I'm not super worried about rejection. It is expensive, though. I will tell people, like, temper your expectations because you got to pay to submit. You got to pay to play.
Yes.
So I love when guests just ask, like, answer our questions, because my follow-up question was, did you submit to festivals? What was that like? And right away, you're like, it's expensive. And it is. Those fees rack up.
You have to be strategic with where you're sending it out to and like, which festivals you want to hit because they can rack up an extensive budget if you're constantly submitting to just everything.
I was gonna say I shot the film on a really old Sony. It was Sony A7S II, which came out I think 10 or 12 years ago. But I had did the research and heard it was good in low light. And I'm like, if I'm gonna continue to do horror and I need to have my own shit, what is going to be a good sustainable camera for low light long term? And it did better beyond what I thought it would, that could be done. But I also I shot in 4K and had to make like shots out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage people, if you shoot in 4K, do it so that you just have the flexibility to create. If you need to do a lot of post edit work, you'll be able to have more flexibility if the files are bigger. So thank the Lord for that. But I spent like $120 submitting to 4 film festivals, and then the 5th one I was able to submit to for free. But it was expensive. Like I submitted to like queer stuff and
Horror
some
festivals?
they're not horror festivals per se. They are more queer centric. And I submitted to the London Women's Film Festival. And then I submitted to a film festival in South Carolina. And I submitted to the Sacramento Film Festival.
I'm gonna stop giving Sacramento shade before they come for me.
So I submitted to those just to see what happens. And then, I'll be on to the next, I'm on to the next project. And yeah. So,
well, before we jump into the next project, what would you say was the biggest either surprise or challenge making this, either throughout the process or in post?
On set, the biggest challenge, of course, was like space. And like you have these big, huge tripods and this teeny tiny camera on it. And it's like trying to find the angles that you want and how you can troubleshoot that in the tight space. Because I think like, when you go and you look at the space without the cameras, you're like, oh, this is good, this is big. And then you get all of that lighting and all of that shit in the space, and you're like, I want to move. So then
Hmm.
you got to get really creative with where things go. We used a gimbal for some of the shots, especially in the bathroom, because there was no room for. So we had to use like the gimbal, and we were like, it was really funny. I wish somebody took a picture of us just sort of hanging off the bathroom, like just trying to get those shots in there. The bedroom, of course, there was a little bit more space. We had to move the bed to the other side and everything, and just position things in a way. You watch your stuff and you also think about the shit that you missed and it being nitpicking. I'm like, oh, I put more stuff in the background to make it more pop a little bit more and all this silly stuff that you think about. But challenge, I would say the biggest challenge is mostly like space and time too, because like everybody has a schedule and everybody has to, do things and leave. And so we shot late into the night, but we were still able to get everything. And another challenge that I'm realizing now is like, make sure you get a good amount of takes for each shot. I realized in the editing, I didn't get certain things that I should have got. So I had to make them in the edit. So like,
Mm.
this is like a secret I'm letting people in, but like that close-up shot, those close-up shots of him were not initially close-ups.
You just cropped in.
They were the shots that I was able to make in the edit. So,
Got it.
so make sure you get, you got your shooting list, the shot list, and just making sure you get what you need so that you have less to do in the editing bay. But again, I was able to learn a lot more about the editing and what that process was like.
You really
Love
knocking
that.
out my questions because my
I'm
one of my
sorry.
other ones.
This is great. This is
I
great.
got because it was like, what would you if you remade it today? What would you change? And you're like already like
Right.
giving it all there.
Oh, you got all day.
Yes.
I think I do like the end result. Cause seeing it again with y'all, I'm like, you know what? I think I had just been like, whatever. But it is a good piece of work for somebody who has never done a short before.
Yeah.
So I give myself props. But I think I would make the room look a little bit more decorative. But I was like, it's a dude. I don't know. Would he have stuff on the wall? I don't know. But I think I'd make it look a little bit more decorative. And I think I'd stick to the shot list a bit more and get the shots that I need. I also think some of my code of ethics on set would be different. And I realized the importance of having an AD on set. Like, I think an AD and a producer is just hyper important. That to me, I understand that you're going to have to do a bunch of different things on set. You're going to have to, especially when it's small and contained and the budget is small, everybody has 2 or 3 jobs. Totally get that. But I think having an AD is super important so that I can focus on getting the shots that I need and focus on making sure the actors get what they need and I can get what I need from them. When an AD is missing and there's no producer on set, you are mitigating and managing all of these different things, and that takes away from the direction. That takes away from getting the shots that you need. And have an AD on set if you can help it. Because I've been on subsequent sets and seen the value of having an AD.
Someone to keep things on time, the producer to troubleshoot so you can focus on the creative bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have gone from here, I've gone on to like, work on like non-school related stuff because I have that, I hate this word, but I guess that's the best one to describe it. I have like this cachet or whatever, and people know and are familiar with the writing that I've done. And I know my way around the set now. It's not hard when you're sort of like locked into learning and shadowing and seeing how it's done. So I'm grateful for that. I've had people be like, "Don't tell people you're in school or whatever," but I'm like, what's wrong with saying that?
Yeah.
It's a place to learn. That doesn't keep me from professional. It doesn't keep me from professional opportunities. I don't know.
School's a great place to, sharpen your tools. You way more people go into school.
That's probably the best part is for school. I think it's good in the aspect of, yes, the network that you build, but also
Hmm.
it's somewhat of a safer space to fail and build up
Yeah.
that resilience of fear of failure. Because that's really the stopping thing is I think a lot of people are afraid to do something. And so again, you doing this first short and putting yourself out there and adjusting to when you have a space and you're like, oh, the space is great. And then you get in there with the equipment. And now you're like, Like that's
There needs to be more spaces just like this, and like Sundance, Slam Dance, Cannes, these bigger festivals are no longer for like the indie filmmakers. Like, and yeah, there still needs to be those up and coming like festivals that are like shepherding new talent, because like sometimes you make something, and I think it's gotten worse with this next generation because of the internet and content creation, but you're constantly seeing other things that you are comparing your own personal work to, and then you don't want to send it out to your friends, or you don't want to put it online. You're like, this could have been better. But I've said it, I say it again, and it's now becoming a running joke, but like embarrassment is the cost of admission. Like that's what we do as artists. Like you have to put it out there. And sometimes you're gonna get feedback that hurts, but ultimately it's like you take all those notes and you learn and you make a better project next time.
And that's like I felt like being to me, editing and direction are in tandem because I've always felt that being an editor will make me a better writer and director. And it already has done that because when I write, I can now like see like where things would go in the space and I've learned the importance of having B-roll. Like, and it's so,
I laugh because
it's
it's true.
it's so important to just have like the hands, fiddling with something and the close-up of the eyes shifting and the feet walking. Like that is so much more about character and the things that they are doing. So that was like a hugely important thing.
You were saying that after you rewatched it, what's the like something that sticks out that like you're really proud of?
I'm proud of the lighting. James, who was the gaffer for me, really hooked it up. I sent him a mood board and he looked at the mood board and automatically was like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And we got on set and he delivered. And then I showed the colorist the mood board and she was able to like punch up some of that darkness, deepen those blues and deepen some of those shadows. And I'm just so proud that even if it's like not put together in the smoothest way or the sound isn't the smoothest, the color is like the color pops a lot. Even though it's like very dreary and very dank, it still has a vibrancy to it that I appreciate. And the makeup, I think, is phenomenal.
yeah,
Valentina
she's great.
Diaz, who's a young SFX artist, I sent her the sort of concept I was looking for. And she sent me a mood board and was like, how about this? And I was like, absolutely. And we were able to get everything together and she made it happen. There's so many things to be like proud of, I think, like the camera work and cinematography. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of proud of all of it because
Yeah.
I was able to accomplish it. It was able to be done. There's always more to do because we're more critical of our own work, but I do think it is a good piece of starter cinema.
No, absolutely. I got what the story was about. The yeah,
Mhm.
give it all the flowers. I think
The
we're
only
too
person
hard
that
on
was
ourselves.
the only person that was hypercritical was my dad, of course, who was like, "Why didn't you do this?" And why didn't you do that? Because my dad is a horror snob and was just kind of like, he used to take me to the movies to see like really inappropriate horror stuff when I was like 5, 6 years old. And that's kind of so he
I'm
thinks
really
he's like
getting this
the
mom
Tarantino.
demonic thing coming back here again.
Yeah.
It's coming full circle, right? He thinks he's the Grand Dame of horror. So, he had a lot of shit to say, but most, I've gotten decent feedback.
Yeah.
So that's great.
No, I'm
So with
glad that you're proud of it. That it's. I think sometimes we forget how hard it is to even make something. So when you look back and start comparing, like what you went through, like you're telling us about having to hang off this or shoot in this time frame or only have the actor for this amount of time to get the shot you need. It's like, yeah, there is what we see for 30 seconds or 4 minutes or 30 minutes is like a lot of moving parts. So kudos to you. Like kudos to you.
and that brings us to the question I had is what's next, Valerie? Like you got like another short plan, you writing a larger feature horror film?
So I had written two horror scripts. One was a horror comedy and one was like more serious, like psychological horror. And two different directors had approached me. I was like, what are you working on right now? Like, what do you have? And I was like, how about this? And how about this? And like, both of my scripts like got chosen by these directors who, they shot the films in April and they're now in post production. So I
Wow.
have two scripts that I wrote that are now sort of in post production with other directors. I was approached by another director who was looking to challenge himself with more horror. So I sent him something. So we're in talks with that. And then I wrote a drama that, again, a lot of the stuff I write is about me. One of the good things about being over 40 is I have all of this crazy life experience that I can write about and turn into some shit. I write about myself. And so I wrote a regular drama about the time I lost my mom. And I'll tell you that story real quick. Like I had planned a trip to Paris and my mom died the week before I was supposed to go. And I'd spent
Sorry.
all of this money and on this trip and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, so we did the arrangements, we got her cremated and everything. And I went on the trip anyway. And I went to my friend's house in Paris and her family came over. And it was just like a day of absolute insanity because stuff was happening that was like really weird. Like a cat busted in through the window. There was a dog that was going crazy. Like it was basically the moral of it is that it was something that sort of gave me peace and happiness in a time of grieving. So I kind of wrote about that and that's attached to another director.
Wow.
A lot's going
That's
on. I'm sorry. That was a
Yeah.
long way to say like, hey, all of these
no,
people.
no, that's beautiful. That's, condolences again
Thank you.
for your mom. But I think that's also really inspirational to know that right from what you know, like we've said, and um, s- being over 40, myself included, you do have life experience, and so being able to write those perspectives is great, and that is what we need more of in this industry, anyways, is different perspectives and different people's because we can all relate on some level, and so. I think that's amazing. You've got all of that stuff going on. And do you have a date for the two films that are in post that like that we should be on the lookout for or
I do not have a date. I know the rough cuts will be done by next week, but the official, like, I don't know. I want to say within the next 60 days, the editing should be done, but I'll know more next week. So be on the lookout for those. My goal with all of this is to become a feature director and eventually maybe move over to TV later. But my goal is to be a feature horror director and writer
Yeah.
who will occasionally branch out into drama because I have a few queer drama ideas that I want to explore. But my main thing is horror. And I am writing a horror feature that is, of course, about something that happened to me. So, yeah,
Well, I'm
nice. Yes.
nice. You got.
Yes. I'll support you by reading about it and being like,
Thank you.
awesome,
You're like,
people go see this.
I will support in the periphery. I have a lot of people who, like, I tried to get my sister to watch it. She was like, congratulations. No, thank you. Um, she's like, I'm proud of you, but I'm not interested.
Uh-huh.
And the support is great when it comes from that too. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys like having me on, chatting with me. Shout out to Nick, who is also a great director and great journalist. And that's how we got to know each other. Because he was a journalist and I wrote for him when he was working at, I think it was HE Entertainment, and he was there at that. And I would write for him and we'd talk about film and stuff like that. And then he just started directing and he was like, when are you going to do it? And I was like, never. And then, like, a couple of years later, here I am. So shout out to Nick.
shout out to other filmmakers inspiring their friends too, because we need more like, picking each other up and also holding each other
Mhm.
accountable. Like you've been talking
Yeah.
about doing this, so like when are you gonna do it? And Nick also, just to run it back, had a great first short,
Yeah,
also
he sure
horror,
did. Yeah.
shot on dash cams, which was
He's been doing it and he's been doing great work. I would love to work with him, but he's like in California. I'm like, I do know people out there who I can connect you with, and hopefully you guys can make beautiful music. I was like, if he, it'd be great if he was like in New York and we could work together on something.
yeah.
Getting out
Well,
to California is difficult.
Nick, if you're running this back, maybe there's some way you can make this happen.
I don't know. Maybe there's a way I can end up over there and then we do work on something.
Yeah.
He sent me one of his recent scripts, and I got to send him some stuff. So hoping that one day we can link up. I've encouraged him to submit his films. They're very good. I'm like, you need to be submitting these, bro. So hopefully he's done that. And yeah.
Also, so as we wrap up, where can, anyone who's watching, when we post these on the internet, where can they follow you? What's the link situation, the socials?
I have a website. My website is ValerieComplex.com. I'm going to put my film reels up there in the coming weeks as I modify my website. So I'll put my reels up there. You can contact me on Twitter at Valerie Complex. Very simple on Twitter. I don't call it X because fuck that. And then on Instagram, I'm Valerie_complex2. And that's how you can find me. And if you have any questions, complaints, whatever, just contact me.
Yeah. And is it okay if I know it might not be ready yet, but if it is available, we'll take and put the link in the description. Otherwise, when it's available, we'll update it.
I think I'm gonna just throw it on YouTube. I think I need to stop
Okay.
playing and just put it up. Yeah, I need to just put it up and stop playing because I like toyed with. I'm like, do I want to? Do I? Just put it up. It's like just put the thing up and
Put it out there.
Yeah.
just put it out there. I don't know if you're supposed to do that during a festival run, but I'll see if it's okay.
Depends on the festivals.
It depends
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
festival.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will check on the festival and then see if that's okay. If not, then they'll have to like look it up another way, which I'm not sure what that way is going to be. But I will update you guys on that.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing if anyone's out there listening. I know there's Amuletto and there's like some other like short
There's
film
Alter,
distribution. Yeah,
yeah, Omegle, Alter, Dust. There's a couple. So yeah.
yeah. So,
I don't have
yeah,
Nick has encouraged me to submit mine to Alter. I'm like, they would never. I don't think I feel like
you never
conscious
know.
about. Hey,
You never know. You never know.
it was so great to talk to y'all.
Shaka, hit us with the socials. Where can people follow us?
Yeah. So you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Threads at OpenQ Productions. You'll see. You can follow First Shorts on YouTube. The links will be in the bio. If we get the link for Valerie's film, then we'll update this with the link in the bio as well, that you can go and take it and check out her work. But we'll put all of the links below so that way you can click on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go follow Valerie's work and support. And yeah, Valerie, we're super excited and happy to have had you on and to have checked out not only this, but the beginning, but to see where you go going forward. Again, I'll be supporting from the wings with the horror, but
Looking forward to getting to
great
some more
work.
demonic shit with you.
More demonic. My mom would be so proud.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time on First Shorts.